Now, a couple of weeks ago, the UK, or London especially, was in uproar over a young girl. They call her Child Q, who was stripped and searched by the police in the school. And obviously, the circumstances around that was that she was on a cycle. And it's a very sensitive case at the moment, so much so that there has been a rally. A rally happened last week, and also there was a meeting between leaders in the borough in which it happened and with the Met Police. Now, one of those gentlemen that was in that meeting is joining me today. I've got Junior Spence, who is a pastor and community leader, joining me today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Ibe.
No problem. Now, I do understand that things have moved further, and I understand that people have actually lost their jobs over this, and they're now calling for the head of the school to be fired. Now, do you think that that's enough?
Well, let me start by saying this. It just shouldn't have happened in the first place, you know. But at the same time, Ibe, this thing happens all the time. Oftentimes it goes unreported. You know, for some reason, this caught the news, and it's become a big thing, rightly so. You know, but I think that it goes deeper than that. I think that this is another example of, you know, the negative perception that police have of Black youth. And I think that it needs to be dealt with at the root. You know, it can't just be a plaster or a band-aid put on it, you know, just because of this situation and because it's now become a very high-profile investigation. But it's something that needs to be dealt with at the root. You know, this is something that, you know, youth have been going through for a very long time. And I think that with this particular case, the police have no choice but to really deal with it, to take responsibility, to be accountable, you know, along with the school. You know, both organizations, the school and the Met Police, you know, have to be accountable. You know, this is something that should never have happened. You know, no appropriate adult was in place. I just can't imagine what was going through those teachers' mind or the police mind to conduct such, you know, a search. Now, they said that she smelled of cannabis, you know, hence the reason why they done the search. To be honest with you, from Monday to Friday, on any given day, I smell of cannabis, you know, because of the young people that I work with, you know, so that is not enough, you know, to deal with a young person in that kind of way. But certainly these kind of attitudes and behaviors of the Met Police and others, you know, is very deep rooted. And, you know, we as a church, as a body, you know, we need to make our voice heard. And I believe that that is starting to come into play, and, you know, to unify, you know, because when we are unified, you know, they cannot dampen what we've got to say, you know. So I think it's very important that we come together on the same page and we speak out against these types of injustices.
You know, you talked about coming together and speaking out. Now, and I did ask the question: what is it that the Black community want out of this? I mean, like I said, people have lost their jobs over it, but what would be the ultimate victory over this? Because I mean, like you said, this has been happening probably from our times, you know, up until now. And what makes this case so different from the other cases?
I think that basically people were just really horrified and really just, you know, so disappointed that such a thing could happen to a young girl, especially when she was on a cycle. You know, people put themselves in the place of, say, if that was my daughter, You know, say if that was my child, you know, how would I deal with this? How would I want the community to rally around our family to ensure that this kind of thing never happens again? And here we have it. We have another traumatized child as a result of this. And it's really sad to hear some of the things that she had been through as a result of this ordeal, you know. But I think that the real victory will be that the police, number one, that they acknowledge that there's a problem in the Met Police. There is a racism problem. You cannot deny it. You know, even in some schools, there is a racism problem. And it needs to be addressed, you know, from the core. And I believe that they need to admit that they have a problem. They need to admit that they have a problem. They need to be very open and transparent and say, look, you know, this is an issue that we have and we need to deal with it. And to really bring the community together, because I feel that oftentimes the police do not know how to police young Black people. You know, they do not know how to police them. They don't know how to deal with them, to interact with them. And I think that basically this is not going to be an overnight fix. I think that this is going to be something that we have to be prepared to be in it for the long haul, you know, because it's a mindset and a culture that has been in place for years. And it's going to take a while to really you know, deal with some of those issues and those mindsets. So I believe first and foremost is the police acknowledging that there is a problem. You know, you can't keep covering up. You can't keep turning a blind eye. You've got to admit that there is an issue, okay? And so if you admit and if you're transparent, you know, we can start to move forward, you know, working with the community, especially the Black community, and galvanizing, you know, key leaders, you know, to help the police in policing our community.
Now, you know, some may say that, well, this type of thing goes on all the time, and they had to take a different approach to this, which is why this happened. What would your view be on that?
Sorry, repeat the question again.
Some may say that, you know, in the school, you know, the smoking of the drugs happens all the time and we can't get to the bottom of it. So we had to use this type of measurement. What would your thoughts be on that?
Totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. As I said before, because someone smells of cannabis, nobody should be subjected to that type of ordeal. You know, I'm sorry, that goes too far. It's dehumanize that person, traumatize that person. Yes, we know that there is, you know, young people that smoke cannabis. There needs to be certain things put in place, you know, an appropriate adult should have been present, you know. And I feel that, you know, even in terms of the school is going to have to really review their child protection policy. They're going to have to review, you know, their leadership and how they do things, and how they interact, you know, with people of color, you know. And I feel that sometimes it's almost like this stereotype that they have of young Black youth, that of course they must have drugs on them. Of course, you know, there are young Black youth in the urban areas, but you know, here we have it. This young girl, this precious girl, did not have any drugs on her, and even so, nobody should have to go through what she went through.
Now, there have been issues throughout the years, decades, where things have happened in the Black community, and there have been times when the Black community have felt silenced because of fear of what will happen in regards to the police and authority. Now, in America, there seems to be a lot more. There seems to be a lot more Black leaders out there that can deal with the situation, but in the UK, we don't really have that. Can you point out any Black leaders in the community that are doing that are doing things in the community, or those that we could run to when there are issues?
I mean, there's a number of individuals that are doing their parts. You know, there's a number of people that are strong leaders in the community, whether they be a church leader or a community leader. You know, organizations. That are working together with the police. I mean, just recently, we met last week with the Met Police regarding this issue, and I think that the church coming together is a great opportunity for there to be change, and the church has come together. Yes, as you say, there is a number of people who are doing great pieces of work that sometimes they are not recognized for it. You know, they are not acknowledged, but they are doing great pieces of work in the community with the police, within their own communities. And I think that, okay, yes, in America, their issues are quite big, especially with the police brutality and so forth. And, we've seen organizations, rise up and start to take on these injustices. But, I believe there are individuals, I do believe there are individuals. And what we need to do, Ibe, is we just need to all come together. We need to basically lay aside all of our egos and all of our political opinions. And we just need to come together as one voice and begin to organize and strategize so that we can be a force to be reckoned with. I think unity is power. And, the word community means common unity. And I believe that as a people, as Black people as well, when we come together, I think our voice is very powerful. But, obviously we communicate in a way that we don't come across as, aggressive or come across as, ignorant, but obviously, we can be passionate, and we can be very passionate and very articulate, and I think that's very important and very organized. I believe that there is, as I said, there's community groups and groups of people, individuals in our community that are doing some amazing stuff, and they are challenging, organizations like the Met Police, in policing and how to do better, training new recruits and all that type of thing. So there is some great work going out there. And as I said, when church leaders over the last couple of weeks, they've met together with the Met Police at Scotland Yard a couple of weeks ago, and also online just last week. And I think the feelings are all the same, is that there needs to be change, there needs to be unity, there needs to be a coming together, things need to be put in place. The police must not just treat these meetings as another tick box exercise, because they've got to send a report to the powers that be. But there's got to be a genuine, real motive for wanting there to be change, so that there can be some really good things done in our community, and so they can understand that some of the things that they're doing is actually wrong. So they need to come together with us, but we also need to articulate our concerns in a very good way, so that they fully understand what it is that basically we require of them.
So at the beginning, I did say that. Thank you for that. And in the beginning, I did say that things seem to be moving in this case. What is going to be? What do you think now is the next step after this?
Well, I think that there's a number of people that are coming together. People, from Hackney, from the mayor to MPs to councillors, to the local police, borough commanders, you know, and also on a national level, the police are reviewing all of this. It's all under investigation. You know, as you mentioned, you know, I think 2 teachers got sacked. People are calling for the head teacher to be sacked as well. And, you know, there's a number of things happening. And you know, that's all well and good. Okay, people, you know, they get sacked, they get moved away. But as I said, there's a deeper root, there's a deeper thing, and it needs to be uncovered and it needs to be dealt with. And I think that people now are having these conversations, you know, in all boroughs. It's not just Hackney, it's all over London and even probably nationally, you know, that such was this outrage that people are saying there's a lot of things that needs to be reviewed. A lot of things need to be looked into. Certain ways of doing things needs to be addressed, you know. So I believe that conversation is happening, and we certainly got to wait for the results of this investigation to see where we go next.